Consult an advisor or conduct your own due diligence when making financial decisions. General principles discussed during this program do not constitute personal advice. This program is furnished by Dentist Advisors, a registered investment advisor.
Welcome to the Dentist Money Show, where we help dentists make smart financial decisions. I'm your host, Ryan Isaac, and here with a new friend, guest of the show, Melissa Methven, or Melissa-Sue. What's the best way to say it?
I go by Melissa.
It's fine? Okay.
Yes.
It's in the corner of your video, Melissa-Sue, but we'll go Melissa. Yeah.
I know. On my book, author and all that stuff, that's my legal name, so I go by that.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. You're joining from Gilbert, Arizona, right?
That's right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this. We probably have a lot of shared connections in the industry. We're going to get into this. You can introduce yourself, tell your story. But I've seen you do some like coaching and breathwork classes recently at some dental offices, people we know, and I'm sure we're have a lot of mutual friends in the industry. So how about let's start here. You're in the dental industry. You've been family friends in the dental industry. How did you get started? What's your story? Where does this begin for you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I've been really, really excited to be on your podcast, especially you have a big platform for the dental community, which is dear to my heart. It's National Suicide Awareness Day today, September 10th. Well, I've been a dental hygienist for 16 years.
Okay.
And my late husband, was a dentist. We actually owned a dental practice in Wasilla, Alaska. It was an 11 operatory office. We had oral surgery, pediatric.
Whoa.
I mean, it was a large office, everything. So I've definitely, been chairside along with my husband as an owner, as a husband, and so I've seen the highs and lows of owning, and he was quite young too. And so I have many dentists as friends. And now, like you said, I do provide breath work for the dental community. I've done actually a retreat in Sedona. There were 7 dentists, and it was so profound to be able to give back to the dental community, because as they give so much to themselves, to each patient, I mean, most dentists see about 30 to 50 patients a day, have 5,000 patients in their dental office.
Yeah.
So to be able to give back to them and have a 3-day retreat for them, that was huge. That was pivotal. We're still chatting on
cool.
WhatsApp right now. So
Really?
that's, yes, yeah.
Congrats. That's so great.
Then I provided, I think you probably know Dr. Nichols here in Quincrete. He's fantastic. I had done a breathwork session for his whole staff.
I saw that.
And
So
we're
cool.
patients as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, let's. So I'm glad you said that. Your story is going to go into the Story Relate Husband. We're going to talk about mental health specifically in the dental industry, which I don't know if you know how it's ranked, or there's a lot of research that the dental industry is one of the, I don't know how to say it, the highest rank for mental health issues or concerns for suicide specifically.
Suicide. I am, I have big dental community, and I probably get, unfortunately, texts once a month that we've lost a dentist to suicide. And I'm kind of that bridge right now, because like I mentioned in my book, The Truth Behind the Smiles, my husband, who was a dentist, died by suicide in March 2022. So it's been 3 years now. Soon after, probably within a year of him passing, I felt called to write a book about our story, because I knew that I needed to use my voice to share our story, all of it, because we were so good. We lived of hiding behind our smiles. My husband also had a great big smile and used humor, with his patients to calm their nerves. And we hid so much behind our smiles. Being in a small community, having a dental practice, we just kind of hid behind that. So I knew that was a disservice. And there's too many dentists that are dealing with opiates addiction, numbing agents, and suicide. So yes, it is the top profession.
Okay, thank you for. We're definitely going to get to that part of the story. If we could go back, I'm curious. How did you start yourself in the dental industry? Was that like a family thing? something you saw? Like, what made you get into it in the first place, and
Oh,
led up to where
that's
you're
a
at right
good
now?
that's a really good question. Actually, I was not. I was actually a flight attendant in my
Okay.
early 20s, and I worked on a private jet and flew around the world with
Wow.
thought leaders, US presidents.
Hmm.
And when I met my husband, who's a dentist, I was always in college. I was in school, and I always said I wanted to be a physical therapist.
Okay.
I love learning about the body, mind. And so that was kind of where my direction for my studies were. But when I met my husband, who was a dentist, and I was living in Canada, I finally
Hmm.
moved up to Alaska, and he says, well, what about dental hygiene? And so I started shadowing, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
yeah, this seems to be pretty flexible. I knew along the road I
Right.
wanted to have a family. So that's actually how I got into it and
Mm.
studied dental hygiene.
Do you still do hygiene? Do you still practice?
Yes, I do
Go in, do you?
temping. I do
Yeah.
temping.
Okay.
I love it. I want to keep my license and I really
Right.
enjoy it, but it's definitely pivoted. Yeah, I'm really picky because my husband was also an excellent dentist, a perfectionist.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so now that I moved to Arizona, I'm in a temping agency and gosh, whoo,
Mm.
it's just not the same, and
Yeah.
I do prefer to work for a biological dentist that
Mm.
aligns more with my philosophy and what I've learned about mental health in the
Yeah.
dental industry and
Yeah.
treating the root cause.
Yeah, I'll bet it's not the same, yeah, from a relationship standpoint, or just being with a team and cohesive in the same spot all the time. Yeah.
Yes, but in the same
Huge
way, I get to
shortage though,
see.
right?
Yes, there's a
Sorry.
huge shortage. There's definitely a huge shortage, and for me right now, it gives me more flexibility with my children and
Totally.
my schedule, my podcast, my
Yeah.
books and things like that, and be able to do breath work as well.
Yeah, great. Well, I want to talk about all of those things for sure. Maybe tell us a little bit about how the practice got started and was built, and what was it like building, you said, an 11 op multi-specialty practice, not a small not a
No,
small
not a small,
undertaking.
no. Well,
That's
what
so
happened,
much. Yeah.
he's from Michigan originally, and he was living in Anchorage, but once in a while he'd fill in Wasilla, and his dad was a dentist, his brother was a dentist, and his dad had owned practices, and he told Scott, "You need to open a practice in Wasilla," because they were booking out 6 months plus. And he said, "There's a need there." And originally he was gonna partner with somebody else, but it just kind of fell through once he kind of opened it. But he was already building the big building. And what we did though is we actually built an apartment below, and so we
Oh
actually
yeah.
lived there. We lived
Yeah, yeah.
there for
Uh-huh.
about, gosh, I think we lived there for 3 years, just
Okay.
in that same
Uh-huh.
building. Once you get started, it's just a lot of overhead.
Yep.
He already
So
student
much.
loans, $500,000 of student loans, plus now a million plus of opening up this practice.
Yep.
There was just a lot of heavy pressures, which I
Mhm.
think built up as well. Kind of his mental health just kind of spiraled from there. The heaviness of having the financial burden from student loans, then opening up a practice. And we were the only practice that was open on Saturdays. So he
Mm.
worked 6 days a week as well.
Mm.
So he was definitely grinding and overexhausting himself to get started. And of
Mhm.
course, he's in his 20s, so we think we're invincible. We
Yeah, oh
can
yeah.
do this,
Endless energy. We'll do this forever. It'll be fine one day. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta do that now until we,
Yeah.
see much more profit or everything's steady. I've built up all
Mhm.
the patient base. But really, I saw it really affecting his back,
Mm.
affecting his mental health. And when he'd come home, he'd have nothing, nothing left. You're completely
Nothing in the tank.
exhausted,
Mhm.
nothing in the tank. And Sunday being your only day off, I mean, you didn't have any time to kind of fully recharge. And a lot of
No.
times, a Saturday night was like, oh gosh, okay, I need a drink. And
Uh-huh.
that's became the pattern of that kind of heavy
Mm.
drinking because that was a
Mhm.
really stressful week.
Yep. Mhm.
And then what happened is, okay, I'm starting to have a lot of back pain because, as you know, the dentists are kind of hunched
Hunched
over.
all day. Yeah,
all day long.
can I just say, when I started in this career about 17 years ago, and I remember, I was in my 20s, and I would talk to some of our clients in their 40s and early 50s, and they would tell me how bad their bodies were beat up. And I would think, so dumb and naive back then. I was like, why? What? You're in an office all day. You're a dentist. Why? Now I'm blown away at how much damage dentists sustain just physically to their bodies by doing those pattern, like just hunched, and the way their arms are all day long. It's so physically taxing. So you
Yeah,
saw
their
this
neck.
happening.
Oh, I know
The
he had so
necks.
many friends that had neck spews, neck surgeries,
Yes.
back surgeries. I mean, that was a common theme conversation with
Mhm.
all our friends that were dentists as well and had been doing it for
Wow.
years. And so
Wow.
that came going to his doctor, I'm in a lot of pain, and, they treat the symptom. So how do they treat the
Mhm.
symptom is an opiate.
Yeah. Yep. Mhm.
And, that introduction of opiates was manageable. It wasn't an addiction right away. But of course,
Mm.
as he didn't do the work to start caring for
Yeah.
himself, it
Yeah, the
just
root cause
progressed,
of
and the
things.
root cause and needed more. And actually, I feel it's not only the physical pain of being hunched over, because even for me, I'd get like a cyst on my wrist, and, you get
Totally.
carpal tunnel of doing hygiene, of
Yeah.
repetitive motions. But there's more to that. The more that I research is, of course, there's an energetic exchange. I'm a big
Mm.
believer, we're made of energy and whatnot.
Sure.
Well, most patients come in with a lot lot of fear and
Mm.
anxiety.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
You
know,
kinda
you
take
there's
that
no
on
you
as a
take that on.
dentist. Yeah, you absorb it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
You
you sit down, and your solar plexus is right there where their head is at, and you're taking on their fears. I mean, my husband was known to be able to take away people's fear. People would fly in, or drive an
Mm.
hour away, because he just had a gentle demeanor about it,
Mhm.
and he was able to hold that fear. But
Mm.
unfortunately, that stays in a room, and that will also affect you if you don't go home and have a practice to clear those
Mm.
energies or refill your cup,
Mm.
from
Mhm.
giving so much from the day.
Can you were mentioning earlier, you're a part of a group where people will text you often unfortunate news and updates. Can you talk or just speak to how common this is in terms of the energy buildup and just the bodies getting beat down and not having a way to clear that, or get their mind and bodies off things? How common and prevalent is this among the dentists that you're and the
It
teams you're working with?
it's so prevalent, because then they don't see it until there's a big burnout. And I've had
Okay.
after my husband passed, I had many dentists who had never shared with anybody else their close call of
Mm.
dying by suicide. And they shared their stories, and so then I
Whoa.
get curious. I started asking more questions, and some of them have written books now and read them.
Mm.
And a lot of it is also a sensory overload. So not only
Oh.
are you taking on these energies, but think of the drill.
Yeah.
Think of the
It's
drill,
the
the constant
noises and
noise.
the
Yeah, the sonic noise. You're
uh-huh.
just the sensory overload. So your nerves are just so heightened and tapped out by the end of the day. And they don't learn the tools to give them back. So one of them that's why I believe so much in breath work,
Mm.
because this is something they can carry with them at work, at
Mm.
home. So now I'm always telling them, okay, we have to wash our hands in between each patient. So
Mm.
why don't you take the washing of your hands a minute or two to take a breathwork minute?
Mm.
Just really clearing that energy, the anxiety. And also now for the sensory overload, as far as the drills, I know they make little earplugs,
Mm.
custom earplugs that dentists
Mhm.
could wear even as a hygienist to help with
Yeah.
that sensory overload. But it's so important for dentists to maybe uh, have a routine now, a
Mm.
routine
Mhm.
where they start giving back to themselves even before they head home to their families. I know actually, Dr. Nichols had mentioned he doesn't go straight home. He has to take a little bit of time, and it's like a workout or
Yeah.
time in nature.
Yeah.
For me, I've loved cold plunging and
Mm.
breath work.
Mhm.
So finding something that works for you that you can integrate in your day,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of give back to your nervous system. Breath
Yeah.
work is your nervous system's best friend. Within minutes, you can recharge your
Yeah.
cells, you know.
Yep. Yeah. We'll get into that. I'm curious, do you find that these kind of practices, or maybe even just the awareness, is becoming more common? Is it more talked about than it used to be, or is it
It
still just,
is. It is and it isn't because it's still
yeah.
called a little bit woo-woo,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's some,
They're like, I don't
when I
know, breathing. I don't know.
and they're like, "Energy exchange, what is that?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, it's a thing. We're made of energy, and you take that on, that constant
Mm-hmm.
fear, that constant anxiety." So, it is because only I'm in a circle now of people that are open to
Okay.
hearing
Yeah.
it, but not to the masses. And that's why I've been using my voice. Actually, I signed up to speak at a Texas Dental Association in
Mm.
May 2026, and it's going to
Oh,
be
cool.
called Chairside Calm. And I'm going to
Mm.
be teaching nervous system reset for the dentists and dental professions,
Wow.
and bring that awareness of breath work and how you can integrate it to your dental practice.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you know this as good as anybody. The dental industry, dentists, and it's like a cultural thing. They carry so much and they hold it all in. There's just so much going on. I think they're so busy. There's so many things to do, especially when you run and own a practice. It's probably just easier to, I don't know, bottle it up and hold it all in. It seems like dentists hold things really close to themselves, and they benefit greatly from networking groups and support groups where they can do it. I'm also curious, if you don't mind, like looking back at those phases, do you notice the patterns you saw in your husband and in his environment with other people? Maybe that's exactly what you're talking about. It's a really
Yes.
prevalent, very common thing.
Actually, when I'd go to a lot of dental conferences with him, we'd fly to Vegas, we'd fly, all
Okay.
these places, and
Yeah.
I'd see it. The heavy drinking, the
Totally.
staying up
Yeah.
too late, the numbing. I could tell some, had drug issues,
Yeah.
and you could tell they were just not healthy,
Mm-hmm.
or having healthy habits, and it was very overwhelming. It was heavy, and yeah, I have seen more built community where they can chat and not feel so isolated as a dentist, which I think back then you kind of were when you get started because it's so competitive,
Yes, and that's the thing. It's the competition of it, which I think is different in different regions around the country. I don't know if you found that too. Sometimes
In
they're very
Alaska, it definitely
competitive.
was. Yeah.
Was it like that? Yeah, where they like
Yes.
won't share anything, and then other parts of the country they're very open. And it's kind of just a regional cultural thing. But yeah, so you see
Yes.
that
I
all over the
see that. I
place.
would see the financial pressure. So one thing I'm sure for you, being a financial advisor, I don't think in school they really tell the students that they're not going to get that income that they know they will reach at some point that first or second year. I know my husband we had a lot of associates that were right out of school. He had to give out loans to them to kind of, be able to pay their rent. And a lot of them had families and had young children. So I think that heavy load right from school and not having a good idea how it will be in the beginning as far as income, that's really stressful. So that's
Mm,
something that I saw a lot. What I definitely saw, especially when my husband passed, I could really see the numbers of the dental practice. Even though we had this great big dental practice, there was still it seems like a lot of them are stuck in just staying
mm,
afloat,
sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
struggling, and they feel
Mm-hmm.
stuck. This is what I hear a lot. A lot of dentists feel kind of stuck because this is what they
Mm-hmm.
studied for. This is all they know,
Mm-hmm.
but they're kind of just making ends meet. And
Yep.
things are
Mm-hmm.
moving fast. The technology is changing. Staffing after
Oh yeah.
COVID
Yeah.
was really
Totally
hard.
changed. Totally
Totally
different.
changed, right? Like
Yep.
now hygiene. That's why I mean,
You can't find anybody. Yeah,
you can't.
you can't. All of our clients, they're just constantly needing hygiene and can't find people.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I'm asked
costs and
all the time,
overhead.
"Can you come
Yeah,
full time? Can you do this?" And I'm like, "No,
yeah,
sorry, I like the
yeah,
flexibility." But
yeah. Huh.
so that's stressful, and that's something I hear a lot from dentists, and some of them, maybe they don't like dentistry anymore, but they feel,
Yeah,
"Oh, I need to stick with it until I retire," but they're
yeah.
not
Uh huh.
happy.
Yeah.
So
Do you find that a lot? We find this all the time in our work. For whatever reason, they get into the industry, and many dentists express the kind of the common desire, like, I need to hurry and earn my way out of dentistry as soon as possible because there's just
Yes.
no way I'm going to do this for a whole career. I can't do it. But I mean, what do you do when you're $500,000 deep in student loans and $1 million in practice loans and a building? And do
Yeah,
you
but
think
if you're
that's
not
common?
happy, if you're gonna,
Yeah, I
yes,
know. It
so
doesn't matter the
common.
money. Yeah, I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I always say, why did you choose dentistry in the first place? Was it ego
Uh,
driven, right? Was
mm,
it,
mm-hmm.
oh, the
Sure.
money driven? Like anything that you choose career wise, if it was ego driven, you may never
Yeah.
feel fulfilled, right? You because
Mm-hmm.
now
Yep.
their identity is in the title, is in the big
Mm-hmm.
house, is in the car.
Yeah.
You'll always feel so empty. It'll
Yep.
never be enough. But if you
Mm-hmm.
find a purpose in the dental field, if you find something, wow, I mean, I truly believe the mouth is almost like 60% affects like the system, the
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
diseases, everything. It's a
Uh-huh.
gut health, oral health is
Yeah.
all correlated. So if you
Yes.
can see how you can impact your patient and really educate them on that and how
Mm,
the root cause can a lot of times be found in the mouth, or, they just would have to find that purpose. But also,
mm.
if they're not happy and they're just waiting till the end, it's time to change. I mean, they're extremely smart. They went to dental school. They can find something else,
Yeah,
but a
yeah,
lot of
for sure.
times they spiral on the ego mind going, well, I can't, and how, what am I going to do? And that's how I say breath work can release,
Mm,
getting them back into their heart and
mhm,
seeing what that might be for them, or seeing clearly what that next step may be. And a
mhm.
lot of times, maybe it's more talking. Maybe it's going to be giving courses. Maybe it's education. Who knows? It might still be in the dental profession, or it's going to be revamping how they do dentistry. Actually,
Yes.
the 7 dentists that we had our retreat in Sedona,
Mhm.
there was only one that was a biological dentist. Now it's September. The rest of them are thinking of shifting their career to become more of a
Mm,
biological dentist. So maybe having a different drive, changing the
yes.
way you do things and treat patients could be
Mhm.
something that ignites them.
Yeah, I think about this all the time, and, for better for worse, there's so many different types of dentistry out there. There's a lot of different business models now, and I do think the benefit of that is you can make a shift to something that feels more aligned and fulfilling, and that could be more chair time, more clinical, and less business management, or it could be the opposite. You just want to run, mentor, and be a business leader and not do as much clinical. You can have associates, partners, the type of dentistry you do, the way you do clinical, certain procedures. Like, there's a lot of changes you can make when you start to hit that phase. How long did you guys run the practice together in Alaska?
15 years.
Oh, geez. Okay.
15
Very,
years.
very long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, 15 years. And I was lucky I was able to sell it to another dentist up in Alaska. And actually, we just were in Alaska last week. And
Oh,
we
cool.
always visit because they were my dental family. They were,
Mm,
they were such a blessing. And it's the same staff, it's same people are
really?
so, yeah, so it's really fun that they didn't change too much, that the heart is still there.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I love that that hasn't changed for us.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Do you mind talking about the logistics and the financial side of like transitioning a practice, especially under a lot of pressure and
Oh,
duress
yes.
and circumstances no one would choose in a million years? And we've seen that with our clients too. Tragedy or illness or death happens, and families have to make really fast, huge financial decisions. Do you mind talking about
I love that you're
like?
asking. I've never been
Okay.
asked that before,
Really? Yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
so big. And sorry, I'll let you go. It's just such a huge thing. There's so many things that happen in life that we don't ever expect to happen. Any insight you have at all, like things you did or wish you did leading up to that that could have made it easier or that did make it easier that you want to talk about all would be really, really insightful and helpful.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
When my husband passed, I wasn't under anything. My name wasn't under anything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he did not have a will.
Okay.
So for me, the office was obviously everything was a shock.
Mm-hmm.
And we were
Mm-hmm.
actually in Maui when my husband passed, Hawaii.
Wow. Wow.
And so I remember calling the office manager to let her know, and the staff. And, we had associates there and everything was still running while we were away. I had to find a probate lawyer instantly
Yeah.
that could put me as a personal representative
Mm.
ASAP. the quickest that he
Mhm.
could because payroll was just in a week. And
Yeah, yeah.
the staff was panicking, like, who, well, of
What do we
course
do?
they were, but they were just
Yes.
wondering, like, what's going to happen? How are we going to get
Uh-huh.
paid now? And so
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to find a lawyer that within a couple days have found a judge that could put me as a personal representative. And I was able to learn to do payroll and have everything running.
Good.
But also my husband was under a litigation, which I think a lot
Mm.
of actually dentists deal with.
Very common. Very, very common. Yep.
Yeah, it was a 7-year battle, and our office was under bankruptcy. I mean, it was very, very complicated. My husband had put
Wow.
it under bankruptcy. So once I became a personal representative, I had told the judge, because we were under
Mhm.
bankruptcy, that I wanted to have, it was only going to be me to see the
Mm.
bank accounts, to do payroll. I will do it all because I want to see
Mm.
all the numbers and
Mm.
not anybody to take advantage of the
Yeah.
situation,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so I did that. And then we kept the office running. I actually was very, very lucky. Like I said, I had known the staff. We didn't have a big turnover for 15 years. We kept the office running. We had an associate.
Mm.
Also, I had a lot of dental friends. They
Oh, yeah.
actually
Yeah.
came
And
in.
experience your
Yes,
yeah.
they came in. So from Anchorage, which is about an hour away, we had a lot of dentist friends who came in and subbed in for Scott's schedule because
Wow.
Scott
Okay.
had 3 columns. I mean, he was
Oh.
so good at doing it. He was the most generator at the office.
Wow.
So I had dentists come in until I could hire another replacement.
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
I found a replacement for myself as well. And I had another friend who's a dental hygienist. She took my schedule and I came in as the role as the owner and the manager. And I was so lucky. I mean, I think there was angels and miracles all along the way. Our sales rep, he says, I found somebody for you. I have an associate, a
No
dentist that's
way.
looking for
Yeah.
work. Do you want to interview him? I'm like, okay, sure. I've never done this before, but
Wow.
sure. And I was
Yes.
lucky that I found another dentist that we hired, another hygienist. And most importantly, I wanted to do that. We had to keep the office running because if I
Yeah.
was
Uh-huh.
going to sell it, we didn't
Mhm.
want it to I wanted to sell it showing that it's a profitable
Yep.
business,
Yep.
know?
Mhm. Yeah, it
And
declines
so,
quickly. They decline
yes.
quickly when the main provider isn't there doing the job every single day. Very
Yeah,
quickly.
very
Yeah.
quickly. And it did a little bit, but for the most part, our staff did such a fantastic job to keep everything running.
Mm.
And as
Mm.
hard as that was for our staff, they were very emotional. Everyone was in shock.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
they
yeah.
knew the heart that Scott poured into this practice. I mean, he was so generous. He was so
Mm.
to his staff and patients. That is one thing I think because he was such a kind and generous boss, people just showed up.
Mhm.
Patients still wanted to come there. Our staff wanted to do everything possible for me and the kids and the families so that we
Mm.
could legally, I could have ran the dental practice for at least
Mm.
2 years.
Okay.
And it was all so overwhelming that for me, the thought of doing that, I was like, no, I just want to find somebody to sell it. And so I did. However, it took a while because to find someone that can afford that for the price that I wanted, I just didn't want to just give it away. So
Mhm.
actually what happened is that I sold the business. I kept the building,
Mm.
leased the
Mhm.
building to
Yeah,
the
uh-huh.
dentist who bought it. I had the land. So that was kind of really nice for me because it generated an income
Mhm.
at a time that I really needed it and could spend a bit more time on healing me and the
Yeah,
family. So
totally.
I had a lot of hard decisions. I was going to court for the litigation. I was going to court for the bankruptcy. I was seeing, I don't know how many lawyers. I
Oh
was
my gosh.
communicating with a lot of lawyers. So one thing I had to say, because I had to make a lot of clear decision in a time that I definitely probably had brain fog, I was in shock. I
Mhm.
did not drink. I wasn't a big
Mm.
drinker, but I
Mhm.
knew not to touch alcohol for the
Mm.
whole time period because
Mm.
I
Mhm.
really had to make clear decisions. And
Yeah.
I found some mentors.
Mm,
I found some dentists that were friends and a new Scot, and I knew their intentions would be for me and my family. They had
mm,
no other ties financially other than I can trust them with asking questions. Okay,
mm.
what do you think I should sell the practice for? How
Oh,
do I
yeah.
should go about it? I hired a sales representative that is more dental related. He was actually from out of state and
Mm,
he was the best man. I wish his name was Caleb. I forget his name now. I
mm.
feel so bad,
He
but
was like a broker, like
he
a
was a
practice
broker.
broker?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was
Okay.
fantastic. Now I'm like, "Oh, I wish I
It's
remembered his
okay.
name
Yeah.
because he was fantastic. I think he
Mm,
was an angel. He worked with me in the chaos of it all, and really somebody I can trust. And he helped me communicate back and forth with the prospect, with the buyer. I did have a big dental group company from
okay.
Texas
Mm.
inquire.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I
Like a
had this.
DSO kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yes, but how I felt with the DSO, I don't believe this in all DSOs, but particularly, I didn't want to lose the heart of the
Yeah.
practice,
Mhm. Totally understand.
and I didn't want it to the quality to drop.
Yep.
Our that's kind of what we pride ourselves on was the
Mhm.
quality of our crowns, everything, and the
Mhm.
treatments. So I didn't want to lose the heart and the quality. And
Mhm.
I think for our staff, it really scared them if I sold to a DSO. And I was lucky that I found another dentist that was referred from our sales rep.
Hmm.
And the minute actually I gave him a tour to him and his wife, I knew that was him. He
Oh,
would
cool.
buy it, and I'm so happy he did. And
Yeah.
he's done a really good job to just keep that heart and the quality, and it's flourishing
Wow.
for him. But
Mm.
that's kind of what I did, and I only sold everything probably a year ago,
Wow,
and
okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Start to finish, you're talking about what, a 2-year process
a
of
two
all the
year.
attorneys, the sales, and
Yes.
longer than you thought it would have been
Longer. The
when you were dealing.
probate took about a year to
Oh,
close.
geez. Okay.
Yeah, and so what that happens is that you open up an account, just an estate account. So
Mhm.
all the money, I'm personally as a wife not allowed to use that for personal use, only for paying the bills,
Mhm.
paying for whatever Scott's estate. So
Mhm.
you have to be very careful with that because they're
Mm.
watching everything,
Mhm.
tax wise.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of lawyers. And after a year, the probate was closed. And that was
Wow.
a big relief. That was a big relief
Mm.
after the probate was closed. Of course, life insurance is another thing, and
Yeah.
maybe an important notion. A lot of people were worried that I wouldn't get life insurance because with suicide, oftentimes you
Uh-huh.
don't.
Yeah.
But the
Yep.
clause for our life insurance was you've had to have life insurance for at least 3 years
Be a
and a
few.
few
Uh-huh.
years, something like that. So I was able to
Mhm.
have that, but that took so it was March, so not till June. So you have to think about the family. We don't get to see any of that income, and my personal bank account was at zero. So I do
Mhm.
educate a lot of wives that kind of stand back to the finances and
Mm.
don't really look at anything. Don't do
Mhm.
that. Don't put
Yeah.
yourself in that situation.
Mhm.
Ask questions, get knowledgeable. I mean, I took a crash course on finance,
Mm. Mhm.
and I have a fantastic financial advisor now as well,
Awesome.
and
So
to
good.
really help me make big decisions, but also learn the whole
Yeah.
process.
To see everything. Yeah, in
Mhm.
the things, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the things you've mentioned here would be themes of basic organization, family and business finances to have everyone involved. I don't know, how did it feel like your financial lives and all the stuff was scattered everywhere, or did you
Oh
have
my
kind of a
gosh.
central place? Okay, yeah. That's
Oh,
how most people are. I mean,
I
it's very common. Yeah.
it was such a mess, and not it honestly, I had my girlfriends had bought this big whiteboard. My
Mhm.
husband had so many credit cards, so many things. I literally,
Mhm.
with my legal documents, went to every bank in Wasilla, Alaska,
Mm.
asking if my husband had a bank account.
Okay.
I had to piece a puzzle. And of course, once the probate is open, creditors have a year to come ask if you owe them
Mm.
anything, any debt.
Mm.
And there was a lot of debt that
Mm.
just kept rolling in. from anything that if we had leased dental equipment to, all these, even I'm still sending sometimes checks for patients and things like that. Yeah, it's
Wow.
just, it's overwhelming. So having a team that could really help you navigate all that, and they really did. The office manager did a great job to help me.
Awesome.
And having mentors as well that you can talk to, and a financial advisor actually was pivotal for me as well to keep me on track and what to do next.
Wow.
And how to, right now, since I learned a big lesson, not having a will, not
Yeah, I was just
having
gonna
everything
say
in
estate
place,
planning and will
estate
and a
planning.
trust
Oh,
and yeah,
that was the
because
number
you could have
one thing I
avoided
did.
probate. It would have
Yes.
avoided probate if there
You
was
know
a
how much
will.
that
Yeah.
cost me? That
No.
cost me $20,000.
Yeah.
$20,000 to put me as a wife.
Just to get
As
you in charge of everything, just so you could
Yes.
be, which was your rightful responsibility and position anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we
Crazy.
needed, so that could save you money
And
that you can
time.
save, and time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why now for me, I have everything in place. My
Yeah.
financial advisor really worked with me to have financial family planning, and I
Mm.
know where everything, and everybody knows who's the one who's be helping and communicating
Mm.
with. But to
Mhm.
have that in place would be really helpful for your loved ones. And
Mhm.
as a wife or husband, just sit down together with your financial planner, and both of you be so clear as to what
Understand what's going on.
understand. Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
my
we
husband, I had even learned going back months prior, because he was just willing to lose everything to win the litigation.
Mhm.
He really did. He would have put us under. I mean, he had
Mm.
taken out loans and loans and loans, and ultimately the lawyers won. Both lawyers on both sides. You know how much they made? Over $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Wow. And that was even leading up to all the stuff that you had to deal with.
Yes, 2 months after, my husband passed, I had all the litigation lawyers. Actually, I was pretty upset because they were texting me the day
Yeah.
of, the day
Yeah.
after, going, "Who's going to pay me? What's happened
Uh-huh.
now?" We had
Yeah.
lost the case, and I was like, "Leave me alone."
Like,
I
I
was
don't care.
really,
I literally don't care.
yeah.
Don't ever get
So
paid. I don't
I
care.
actually settled as quickly as I could. I said, "I am
Mm.
done with this. I will
Yeah.
figure things out." Of course, I said, they'll get the money once I sell the practice or
Yeah.
make some changes.
Yeah.
I actually, within months, to pay lawyer fees, because they were up to $100,000.
Oh
Actually,
my God.
yeah, we owned a condo in Girdwood, Alaska. I sold that
Mm.
within months. I just started selling things in our home, and
Mm.
actually, I even sold our home. A lot of people, counselors were saying, don't change so much, but it just needed to all
You
happen.
needed to clean up. Yeah, you needed to like clean
Yes,
it up, take care of it all.
we really did. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, and you're touching on something we say all the time, which is probably one of the most boring things about financial planning, but really being organized is the key. It's the foundation of everything. You can't make decisions, you can't deal with things that happen, opportunities or tragedies, unless you have like a central place of organization and understand where everything is and what it's doing and what it's there for. So that estate planning, wills, trusts, business planning, insurance planning, there's a lot of themes here that wow, that took you a lot of time and money to have to clean up after that. That's a lot.
It
Must have
was a
been very
lot.
taxing.
It
Mm,
was so stressful. I keep going back, like, how did
can't
I
even imagine.
survive that? And all I can say, I survived it because, I believe in God, or higher power, whatever
Mm,
everyone wants to call it. But there's no
yeah,
other way I
yeah.
could have done it without my faith and just
Mhm,
prayers from others. That's truly what happened. And just keep following my intuition through it all as
mm,
well. I had to really make some big decisions, and I kept on, okay, this feels right. Even me moving to Arizona, I knew nobody here.
mhm.
I knew
Oh, really?
absolutely
Oh,
not
okay.
a soul here.
How did you choose Arizona?
I
When
had
did you do
come
that?
here
The
for a
sunshine after Alaska?
yeah, I needed all the sunshine, and actually that's another topic for Alaska.
Uh,
Just the darkness, and how it really
mm,
messes with your circadian rhythm, and
yes.
how
Oh,
that
yeah.
affects your mental health. So that's a whole other topic. But I had come to Arizona years for a local anesthesia course. And I
Mm.
remember loving it here. I was like,
Mhm.
wow, this place is, everyone seems so happy here
Yeah,
and
uh-huh.
active. I've always been really active. I'm like, wow, everyone's fit here and,
Uh,
seem happy in the sunshine. And I just remember going home and telling my husband, we need to move to Arizona, and started
wow.
looking at schools, started looking at everything. And he thought I was going crazy because he's like, I am not moving to the desert.
The
It's way
middle of the
too hot.
desert, yeah, uh-huh.
Because that's what everybody thinks about Arizona. But I was
Yeah,
like, actually, no. Now that I've moved here, I'm like, it's amazing.
yeah.
And there's variety. But I took a leap of faith of what I remember that feeling was, and I sold absolutely everything and moved me, my 2 kids, a dog, 6 suitcases, 4 months, it was 5 months after my husband passed.
Whoa, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
but it's now, at the time, I was definitely scared, and when I arrive, I'm not saying going, "Oh, yeah, I knew this was the right choice." No,
No,
I was
yeah.
like, "What did I do?
You're
I've left
still
my
reeling
community."
from everything, you're
Yeah.
still, yeah, a couple years into wrapping everything up anyway. Wow,
Yeah,
that's such a
it was a
huge
lot.
thing.
It was a lot, but now I know that that was ultimately the right
It was
choice
the right
for
thing,
me.
right call for you.
Mhm.
So let's just pause here for a second. I want to go to where you went next: writing, teaching, speaking, mentoring, being a support for people, everything you're doing now. Before we go there, is there anything you would pause and reflect on from just that part of the story? If anyone's sitting in that right now, dentists, teams, spouses, friends, family, of a dentist that might be noticing these things from somebody. This is the month and the day to be, to raise awareness for this stuff. So just pausing there, is there anything you would say to people who are in that environment or going through those same situations?
Yes, actually, this is a very good question. If I could be honest, there were signs before.
Okay.
One of the signs that we started noticing is my husband taking more sick days.
Oh,
Or
okay.
sometimes midday, he'd leave. I
Okay.
remember being at work, and here I am working away, and then the front office says, "Where did Scott go? Is he coming back?
Mm,
There's a patient in the chair." And I was like, "I don't know. He didn't even tell me."
mm,
And so there
mhm.
was those times, and a lot of it he would tell them, well, I'm dealing with lawyers, I'm dealing with the litigation. The
Okay,
staff
sure.
knew this was going on.
Mhm.
So we just kind of said, well, that's what he's dealing with. But these were the signs, more missing days. And also you could just tell, and his demeanor with patient is almost, you lose that fire that
Mm,
ignites you at work. He was a perfectionist and he loved dentistry, but I think he
mm.
was getting very exhausted.
Yeah,
He was
okay.
getting just exhausted, and it was just almost just following protocol at this point.
Mhm, mhm.
And so those were kind of signs where if you start noticing a shift in their behavior, then
Okay.
maybe taking them aside and talking to them, even if you're not the wife or you feel you're not that close or you feel you're intruding in their personal space, you might be the one where they're actually going to remove that veil and be like, wow, thank you for seeing me.
Mm,
Because they do so well in hiding, because
mm.
they don't want to be a burden to anybody
Mhm,
else.
mhm.
They don't want, they are the boss, they have to be withheld, almost that Superman feeling. I can't seem like I need help because the whole office will fall
Mhm.
apart. So I
Yep.
think being seen and saying, it's okay, we're here for you. How can we help? Or, hey, I
Mhm.
feel maybe you need, maybe you need a week off. Maybe you need this,
Yeah,
and
take a
don't worry,
break.
we'll take care of it. Or I
Mhm.
know a lot of them, that's why having an associate is so key.
Mm,
But if you don't, be okay in taking that time off for your mental health. Taking those
mhm,
mental breaks will save your life, because
mm.
here's what happens with mental health too. You get so in that brain fog and captive. You can't see out of that cloud.
Yeah.
And so having someone bring clarity or seeing you or starting to notice, then they can maybe start
Okay.
removing that veil and seeing themselves. Because my husband never once said he was depressed. Never once said he needed help. So removing that veil for him, seeing his truth, was his whole identity. He was just maybe the
Mhm.
shame, the guilt. Bring it up. The more people,
Okay.
the better.
Okay.
or even intervention style. I kind of wish I would
Mhm.
have done an intervention style type of meeting for him. I had spoken to family members, of course, close friends. I think that would be really good for people. If you start noticing, don't wait. Don't wait. Well,
Mm.
it seems okay. No, because we hide it so well. They're gonna hide
Mm.
it extremely well from even their spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Okay.
had so many people that almost died by suicide and said, I never even told my husband, my wife,
Yep.
that I had suicidal thoughts. So even
Yeah.
asking those questions, do
Mhm.
you have, I had asked that, and it was always a no.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But maybe from a stranger, honestly, someone that is a stranger and from the outside can make even bigger impact, I feel.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe that message is kind of the segue to the book behind you, The Truth Behind the Smile. Is that what it's called? Behind the
Yes, the truth
Smiles.
behind the
Okay.
smiles. Yeah, because
So how did you, yeah,
mhm,
you go into that,
mhm.
please. How did that come about? Like, what was the
Yes.
first thing you did to get into the space you're in now? How did that evolve? What did you do first?
Well, because I was now taking care of the dental practice, a lot of times I had to communicate with all our patients, and we had our social media platform, mostly Facebook, and I would write on
Mm-hmm.
that, write and write,
Mm.
and just to address everybody. I had many people say, "Wow, you should write a book someday," but I
Oh, wow.
remember thinking to myself, I am just in my beginning stages for my own healing and my children, maybe 10 years down
Yeah.
the road. But
Yeah.
I ended up meeting a publisher. There's no
Mm.
no coincidence. Her name is Kira Brinton, and she says, "No, I see you, and you're going to be writing a book." And she also, and the only way I knew I could write a book, she offered these 5-day writing adventures. She's a writing
Mm.
coach. So I said, this is the only way I'm going to have the time. If I'm taken
Mm-hmm.
away, I was on top of a tree house in Mill Valley, California, in the Muir Woods, and I
Mm.
wrote 48,000 words in 5 days.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, but she
Yeah.
helps you regulate your nervous system so you don't
Mm.
you don't kind of burn out. And
Mm-hmm.
also, once I signed the contract to write my book, I started praying a lot and actually
Mm.
started getting a lot of visions. And I'd wake up in
Mm.
the middle of the night, often 3 o'clock in the morning. And the cover of my book is actually my family picture.
I can see
And
it.
here,
Yeah.
yes, it's a
Yeah. I
family
can see it.
picture. And that one is actually the one we use for our dental practice for advertising.
Okay.
We would send
Oh.
postcards and we're all smiling and looking super happy. Got a boy and a girl for kids, just picture
Hmm.
perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I had that vision and I said, that's it. We just hid so much behind that smile. I remember taking those pictures and where Scott was at. He was just so checked out for those pictures. I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling so lonely because
Mm.
I didn't know what else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're trying to help somebody, but it's just not received and they're not
It's
listening or
not
taking that
working.
first,
Yeah.
it's not working. You're like, I don't know what else to do and how to
Mm-hmm.
reach that person. But I knew I had to write this book because also my husband, on both sides of his family, both grandparents had died by suicide. And that was
Wow.
kept silent for
Oh.
so many years. And I said, I can't stay silent anymore. Even when he died, a lot of people said, "Oh, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna
Hmm.
say?" Because there comes a
Yeah.
lot of shame to saying died by suicide. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, we're gonna say died by suicide, and I'm gonna put the hotline,
Mm-hmm.
on the obituary. I'm gonna talk about it." I just felt really called to talk about our story, everything about it. So that's
Good.
why I wrote my book, and it was our
Mm.
whole truth, and it was so scary because I
Mm.
thought, "What is everybody gonna think? What are Scott's friends gonna think? His
Yeah.
family?" Because
Mm-hmm.
there was a dark side. I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with my husband's addictions and the mental abuse that came because the
Mm-hmm.
more he was in his addiction, the
Yeah.
more he wanted to control me because he was
Totally.
scared to
Yeah.
lose me, right? So
Mm.
the financial, where he just stripped everything financially,
Mm.
that was a
Mm.
way to keep me small, keep me
Yeah.
there.
Mm.
So I do talk about that, and I know that was really, really hard for some of
Mm.
his friends to see that side of Scott, because
Yeah.
I know that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't his heart. That wasn't
No,
him
no, no.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah. No.
That wasn't him anymore. I know this was the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
that made him kind of just change. I know the last year I couldn't even recognize who I married anymore. It
Mm,
wasn't Scott. And
mm.
so that's the truth behind a smile is our story. And I know it's a hard one to read, from the first few chapters, but there's light to it. There are
Yeah.
tools that I've incorporated with my kids. My kids were only 6 and 8 years old at the time, and they were there. They are still dealing with some of the traumas.
For
Luckily,
sure.
luckily, God, I listened to his
Mm,
instincts, and on that day, they never saw Dad the way I did.
mm,
And that, I
mm-hmm.
think, saves so much more trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But I talk about tools and being mindful in your environment. I have a whole chapter about dentistry and why I
Mm,
feel it's number one in suicide right now. So it's just bringing awareness and being light to it and inspiring people to start removing that veil. You're not going to
mm,
be a burden. Ask the hard questions to your friends.
mm.
Go deep. I think oftentimes we feel, oh, we don't want to get into their business, or we don't want
Yeah,
to
you don't want to. It's
intrude,
impose or
Yeah.
embarrass them or
Yes.
yeah, like expose a weakness or something. But it's not at all like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you do it with love and compassion. I always say, I wish I would have had a friend who would have said, "Hey, Melissa, I see you're struggling. I see Scott struggling. How can we help?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't because I think a lot of people didn't want to see that about Scott either.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't want to. We don't. Yeah, like you said, it's the mask or the veil that we wear, and it's uncomfortable for the people on the other side of it too, because you can always feel like that. You can tell when there's, and it's not congruent. Something's not lining up, and the outside isn't matching the inside. But it is a hard thing to bring up. It's
It
tough.
is. And I also found, I learned later on with therapy and whatnot, when I was trying to bring this up with somebody else, a friend, a lot of time when I'd get a pushback, it's because
Mm.
they would now shine a truth on their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was probably why sometimes I get a bit of a pushback, or they're not ready for that information, is because
Yeah.
now they'd have to see their lives and shine
Mm-hmm.
a truth on them. So, I mean, it would talk about therapy. That was one thing I talk about a lot. I definitely saw a psychologist, and she was blended, you know, her psychology and faith-based as well,
Mm.
because I know God was there all along for me, and
Mm.
having that blend was really important.
Mm.
Breath work, oh my goodness, that vision, that PTSD that I had of finding my husband, because I did CPR, I found him, and I thought I had saved him. Just all that PTSD of going to the trauma unit for 3 days at the hospital, sitting there by his bedside, it haunted me for a really long time.
Oh my God.
And breath work is the only tool that got rid of that PTSD for me. I still remember I'm in a breathwork session, an hour long, and that vision came right to my face. And it was almost like, it's time to let it go now. Let it
Mm.
go. And
Mm.
it never bothered me afterward. It was like a process of, you feel it, you see it, but it's time to let it go of these past traumas. And oftentimes that's what I talk about in my book, is suppression. I
Mm.
suppress so much my emotions. My husband suppressed. He used numbing agents. For me, my suppression turned into chronic illness,
Oh.
autoimmune. It started
Mm.
affecting my body. I ended up having MRIs and breast cancer scares. And then I had a cyst on my vocal cord where I started sounding like a smoker. I had to have
Whoa.
a surgery on my vocal cord. I couldn't speak after that for 4 weeks. And I had young children at the time. I knew then God was telling me to use my voice. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm here
Mm.
saying all that suppression, if you're
Yeah.
not going to shine and see your truth, it's going to show up in chronic illness, or you're going to try and numb it. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's so important. So that's kind of what I bring awareness.
Okay.
And I became a breathwork facilitator because I said, I
Okay.
have to learn this gift. I have to
Uh-huh.
learn this gift and give it back to anybody that I come across, who's willing to and open to it. So right
Yeah.
now you talk about shifting professions. Yes, I studied dental hygiene, but what ignites me now is breath work, using
Mm.
my voice with my own, podcast as well. I was speaking at dental conferences, but seeing that shift with breath work and
Mm-hmm.
how I can blend that now with the dental community and
Yeah.
bring that a lot of it too, because I'm a big advocate for airway. And
Mm-hmm.
we did a lot of airway in our dental practice because I
Mm.
learned that from my son having airway issues and not the right quality of oxygen. So I know with breath, you can your brain functions can be a
Mm.
lot clearer. You can
Mm-hmm.
heal your body on a cellular level. So this is how
Yeah.
important having quality oxygen flow and in also having a breath work routine.
Mm. Okay, I was going to ask you about that. So, is that you were just doing this in an office there locally? Is that something you do, or will be doing more often, or
Yes.
trainings, or coaching, or how
Yes.
what is that like?
Right now, I was started off just more one-on-one. I just love one-on-one because a lot of people, it's their
Totally.
first
Yeah.
time doing
Mm.
breath work, and going into a big group could be really
Mm-hmm.
intimidating
Yeah.
because it is a safe place to express emotions. And a lot of times with breath work, you
Yes.
might cry
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
out of
You just
nowhere.
start crying out of nowhere. You're like, oh, something's working. Yeah. Uh huh.
Yes, or
Yeah.
people
It's
will
amazing.
scream out of anger. It's a safe place
Wow.
to
Yeah.
scream, to let out
Mm.
anger or pure joy. So sometimes people are like, well, I've heard this is what can happen. So doing one-on-one has been really fantastic. But now I feel, wow, I could get to more people doing
Mm.
groups. So I've loved being able to be at a dental retreat and
Okay.
provide breath work as a group, go into dental practices. And what I love, usually I'd be at a studio, but actually doing it at the dental practice. So one of them, we just kind of move things around in the front office. I
Yeah, I
had all
saw
the
that, I think.
mats
Yeah.
and, but then you help shift the whole energy of the dental practice. It
Mm.
unites your staff, it in
Mm.
alignment. It
Mm.
sheds those layers, and to see their boss just be completely open as well in wanting to help their staff. It's going to be
Mhm.
more than just generating money.
Mhm.
Let's help each other out. Let's be there for
Mhm.
each other, and it just opens up a platform to be open about what's going on, and let's be there for build community. So that's kind of where I'm going. And actually, in a week, gosh, a week and a half, I've been on a documentary series called Writer's
Oh.
Island.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah. I
I,
think
I
I've seen some of that actually. Yep.
yeah, I was there in June in British Virgin Islands, and I wrote my second book actually on this island called The Gut God Connection. And
Mm.
that could be a whole other story
Okay, yeah.
because that is how I saw also our environment played a big role in our mental health. So talk about toxins, right?
Mm.
Dentists deal with mercury, so
Mm. Mhm.
amalgams,
Yeah.
removing amalgams. So toxins in their bodies, your environment affects your gut health, same as your fear, anxiety.
Mm.
So
Mm.
how there's that gut brain connection. So that's my second book that I I
Amazing.
I wrote.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We have a dear friend and client, and she's done speaking for us, and very influential dentist, Dr. Michelle Jorgensen out of
Oh my
Utah.
gosh, that's
You
who
know
I'm
Michelle?
having on my podcast
Oh,
tomorrow.
really? Tell her hello. Michelle was probably our 10th client ever, and huge story around mercury poisoning,
Yes.
and yeah, huge. That's interesting.
I am
Michelle,
so excited. I've been so prepping it.
oh,
I've been trying to get her
she
on for a
is
month, and
phenomenal.
tomorrow
Yeah.
she'll be on because
Really?
I have inclination, of course I can't go back and find all have all the evidence, but my husband was known in Wasilla to remove all the amalgams. He was a
Yeah.
cosmetic dentist, and
Mm-hmm.
I know he didn't do all the protocols
Yeah.
that she talks about to do
Mm-hmm.
it safely. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we also had mold in our house in Alaska. So I feel his depression, was a
Mm-hmm.
accumulation of everything, but I think the root is the toxicity that he had
Sure. Oh, yeah.
because it's a neurotoxin.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's kind of where, and
Oh,
I saw
that's
it with my son too. My son, his
ooh.
behavior changes and everything. I went to Dr. Amon's clinics for brain scans. I've done gut tests,
Mm.
mycotoxin, heavy metals for my whole entire family. So my book is kind of opening up that door
Mm.
through, again, our family story to like,
Mm.
wow, this was
Mm-hmm.
probably the root cause.
Environment.
environment. Yeah, how
Yeah.
important that is.
Well, so cool that you have Michelle coming on your
Yes.
podcast, and she's the best. She's awesome. She's just done so many huge things on top of her huge dental career too. So that I'm excited for you guys. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. I'm really excited.
That's
And
awesome.
so now they're going to be filming season 2 in a couple of
Okay.
weeks for
Yeah.
Writers Island. And
Oh,
I've
cool.
such an honor. They've asked me to come as the breathwork facilitator and not
Really
the author
cool.
this time so I'm going to be doing breathwork sessions
Okay.
for the authors on the island this
Okay.
time.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, we could talk for another hour or two easily. There's probably so many connections in the industry and things I'd love to
Yes.
ask. But for now, I mean, I think we're going to do a webinar. Did we work that out
Yes,
yet? I don't
yes,
know.
yes.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah.
meeting, I think, with you tomorrow. Your
We're like tomorrow.
assistant.
Okay. I knew that's on the calendar. So in the meantime, what services whatever you'd like to talk about, do you provide that you would like to have, if you'd like anyone to reach out, how would they find you? Or maybe just grab a copy of the book, anything like that at all that you want to talk about here where people could get in touch, or even, I don't know if you're a part of groups or, support groups or anything that you want to mention at all would be great.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have a
Mm.
website called melissagratitude.life. And I
Okay.
also have my podcast, Not Alone, with Melissa-Sue Methven on all the platforms.
Okay.
But on my website, you'll see that I could be hired for speaking engagements, but also
Okay.
breath work. I do virtual, in-person groups, retreats, dental practices, or any medical field in that respect. So, and I will be starting actually a coaching
Okay.
business as well. So I actually will have a wait list for that because I have so many people asking me, which test did we do for me and my kids, the detox journeys. Even though
Mm.
I'm not a naturopath, I'm not a functional practitioner, you'll work alongside to a functional, but you'll see what I've done because I have seen so many specialists along the way. So I'm trying to save you, that
Yeah.
all of that, all the
Yeah.
financial, I paid so much money to just get to that clarity, that clear
Wow.
view. So I will be doing some coaching for detoxing and also
Mm.
getting out of that fog. Cause a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times I feel that first step, everyone's kind of in fear and they kind of spiral and won't take it. So I do find decluttering, starting with the gut, is so
Mm.
important for that
Mm.
brain clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where, and I've always been into naturopath. I may go to school to become a naturopath at some
Okay, you
point
never know.
because
Yeah, see where it takes you. Yeah,
yes, yeah.
I love that. It's such a parallel to it's just different. The financial work. Everything begins with decluttering, organizing, taking a step back to see what's going on, not changing it, not judging it yet, just like what's happening, what's even going on before you can know what to add or to take away or change or keep. And I love that. That's really cool. Congratulations on everything.
Thank
That's
you.
really exciting. You're clearly and will continue to impact so many people in such profound ways, and probably reach people in spaces where they feel absolutely alone, and then just look totally shiny and fine on the outside. And I'm sure that's a lot of people. We know statistically in this industry. So thanks for all the work that you do and
Yes.
coming here to share it all. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It's such an
Yeah,
honor. And yeah, I have no doubt this will at least touch one person,
for
if
sure.
not more. I have no doubt.
For sure.
And
I
they can
don't
always
either.
reach out to me. They can DM me. I do get a lot of DMs on social
Okay.
media at Melissa_gratitude. And I'm
Okay.
always pretty good at getting back to them.
Great.
Because for me, if I can help inspire one person, this is all worth using my
Love it.
voice.
Yeah, I would love to see you do more in the space and touch more lives, and get involved in those ways that you have already, and just more offices and more lives. So
Yeah,
thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you
everyone for
very
tuning
much.
in. Yeah, enjoy your interview tomorrow with Michelle. That's gonna be
Oh,
so
yeah,
good.
I'm so
That's
excited.
so great. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.